66th episode of the Overclocked podcast.
And we're running completely on battery power, so we're safe. For
The
at least
battery
half
powered
an
car.
hour.
But just as Gavin, I woke up this morning and at 6 o'clock our load shedding started.
6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 6 o'clock in the morning. It was really, really irritating. There was also, we had the 10 to 12:30 one last night. We got hit 3 times yesterday.
Yes, okay, we got hit twice. Yeah,
three
okay.
times yesterday. And
I mean, it's out of control, basically. They can't produce a schedule fast enough for the load shedding that's happening because, today we're on 6, tomorrow we're on 8. I heard them actually speak on the radio about stage 8. Stage 8 is basically walking around with candles.
yeah, it's definitely when you surpass stage 3, it's more rolling blackouts than it is
rolling
control.
blackouts, exactly. So, I remember about a month ago, these Zimbabwean farmers were all bust by, not farmers, abattoirs were all bust by the Meat Regulation Board for using some chemical they were sprinkling on their meat to keep it from going rotten because the fridges kept shutting
Yes.
off. And we're not so far from that right now.
Yeah.
The mobile networks, for example. Yeah.
Well, yes, I am Lindsey Schutters, Sharpshooters on social media. You can come fight me. I like fighting on Twitter. That's SHARPSCHUTTERS. I am that opinion guy on the internet, and I'm joined as always by Gavin Dudley, editor of Tech Magazine, the biggest selling consumer technology magazine in South Africa. Gavin, you've already introduced your right this week. Explain to the people what is happening with load shedding and the network.
No, well, it's quite simply, no one has any bloody idea what's happening with load shedding because it's basically turning into a rolling blackout of information on load shedding. It's all escalating so quickly. You can't plan for it, you can't anticipate it.
Yeah.
Because you have load shedding 4 today, and then we'll have load shedding 6 tomorrow, then they'll downgrade it to load shedding 3 the following day, and load shedding 8 the next week. So, basically, no one's conducting any kind of reliable business. Our publishing business has been running on diesel generator for a week. They've been pouring diesel into the generator for a week because we can't have all the PCs go down, everyone lose their work,
Yeah.
and then start it all up again 2 minutes later on the
Yeah.
generator. So they just leave the generator running. There are other businesses that are going out of business, literally, over this.
Yeah.
So, everyone knows this. You don't have to hear this from me. My concern is that this is Banana Republic stuff where they can't give you a predictable schedule for when you'll be going down. It just appears to be almost random,
Yeah, the problem is the economic cost is insane. Like imagine, because stage 6, for instance, is 50%. All customers will experience can only have 50% connectivity to the network. So they have to shed half of your day. That's that's 12 hours of a day that you need to go. Stage, what were we on the other day? We were on stage 6.
6 yesterday,
No, sorry, stage 8 is 50%.
Oh, I see.
Stage
okay, that's
6
been talked about
yeah,
now.
stage
we're not there
6 was like around 20%
jeez.
that they need to cut. So that's like 6 hours, 4 hours out of your day that you need to be off.
I heard this insane idea. Okay, what about this? Oh gosh, this is when I listen to too much talk radio and people come up with unfeasible ideas that sound practical at the time. What about this? All those municipalities who haven't paid their bills, they can be the first people to be load shed. Let's load shed them the most because they haven't paid their bill. Sure, the poor consumers in those municipalities maybe shouldn't have to bear the brunt of their municipality not paying their electricity bill. But what about if you turn them off and you turn them on for 2 hours a day so that people can do the cooking thing they need to do or whatever electrical thing they need to do in those 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day or whatever, but otherwise you turn them off until they pay their bill.
Wow.
Sounds radical.
There's
I know it sounds
human
radical.
rights issues there. And
I know, but we also have human rights. And in fact, if our businesses close down, our human rights will become entirely secondary to us being on the street with a begging bowl.
Exactly.
So
no, the economic cost is the main thing. But there's so much, like, we initially went down because there was a problem with the coal delivery situation at Medupi. And then, obviously, they made a decision to not maintain certain power stations that were too
that
old.
just sounds so insane in itself, Let's not maintain that part of the grid.
Because they can't afford to. Like, they don't have money. This, as I said many times before, this is the coal hill that we are going to die on.
Oh, yeah,
this is
true.
This is
true.
It's out of control right now.
The coal hill we're going to die on. You had another expression exactly like that I really liked. It was exactly like that. The coal hill we're going to die on. Yeah,
Medupi and Kusile. That's. Now even NEXA, the Nuclear Energy Council for South Africa, they are on their last legs. They apparently can't pay salaries for December. And that's going to be the end of nuclear power in South Africa.
I wonder how Jacob Zuma would have handled this crisis compared to Cyril. I mean, I wonder what he would have done.
But the interesting thing is, so Cyril gets on a plane and he goes to Egypt.
Yeah.
So in my mind,
and remember, at that time we were not on stage 6.
Yeah,
okay.
I see him like having drafted an email to like everybody and was like, guys, this is the plan. These are the steps we must follow. These are the action items. I need to be at this thing.
Yeah.
We've known about this thing for a while.
Yes. Make it so. I'm paying you a lot of money, and and I'm entrusting you with the country.
And then he buggers off.
So. Yeah.
And then immediately as he gets on the plane, everyone like loses their mind. I mean, I've been in those situations as a manager before.
Sure, as a manager,
where you like land at the other side and just emails, and you're like, guy, please refer to this email that we specifically discussed. This is what you do.
Yeah.
And like I phoned you when I got on the plane to make sure that you got the email.
If you've ever been a middle manager and you're managing a bunch of millennials, you'll know exactly what's going on, except that now you're the president of the country and the same thing's still happening.
He comes back and he has a little powwow with all the Eskom guys.
Presumably on the plane.
And then, like on the ESP app, it's like, load shedding suspended. No, load shedding is started. No, load shedding's been suspended. It's like, guys, what is going on?
Okay, look, let me just speak directly to the mobile phone network. You don't need to know about load shedding. I mean, it's been so thoroughly covered from so many angles in every news channel. You don't need to hear us talk about load shedding. But just a little heads up on how the mobile networks are handling this. So typically all their base stations that your phone is connecting to, they have generators and batteries. Okay, so if something happens to the power grid, they start running on battery power. So you'll notice that even if everything around you goes down, your cellular signal might stay up. And unfortunately, those batteries only last 6 to 12 hours, depending on how much they're being used and how fully they charge and so on and so on. But normally it should get you at least 6 to 12 hours.
Yeah.
And the generators will kick in to then recharge those batteries. So the problem now is that if the entire country goes down in swathes, then you can't get diesel to those generators to recharge those batteries. And the batteries require more than 12 hours to recharge. So eventually the lifespan of your batteries is going down. If you have blackouts or if you have load shedding a couple of times over the course of a week, eventually those batteries at the base station only have half an hour worth of life left in them. So you'll find the gap between your power going down and the mobile network going down, the gap gets shorter and shorter and shorter. So just because the first few times the mobile network appeared to stay up doesn't mean that the mobile network's always going to stay up. The amount of time it will stay up will get shorter and shorter and shorter. So just so you're aware of that and understand that the network operators are pulling their hair out trying to keep the situation going, and it's just not
on a
working.
larger, more impactful scale, the water system, the reticulation system, is under similar pressure because things need to be pumped. That's how you get.
That's right.
That's how you get pressure into your taps.
Yep.
Is those things get pumped, and those pumps need electricity.
Yep. And it takes them a while to get up to speed as well. I mean, those pumps have got to run for a bit, and then the water gets fed in, and it takes like an hour or something just to get the system primed. Yeah.
So like the realities of stage 6 load shedding is like water becomes a problem.
This is killing the farmers, for example, because it takes 2 or 3 hours for their pumping system to run efficiently. So just as the pumping system's coming up, the power goes off every single time. So they are just cutting down crops that are dying in the fields.
There's a new draft, or at least there's a new integrated resources plan. By 2030, about 40% of our electricity generation will come from wind. I have thoughts about that. I'm going to put those thoughts on my website.
Okay, as you've done before.
Because there's very... at the moment, we need battery storage to manage a mix of...
So the great thing about Lindsey's coverage is he's actually delved into the numbers, the hard numbers of what makes the stuff work and not work. And it's one thing to just shout and scream, let's use wind power. But actually the intricacies of how these things work are actually enumerated in his coverage of the subject.
Yeah, and there's also considerations of like skills, for instance. Because these technologies are evolving quite rapidly, we haven't reached a plateau like we have in like coal generation, where we've been using steam systems since like the Industrial Revolution.
It's a stable
technology, and we can teach many people how to do it.
Okay.
there's all those sort of
So
crazy things.
do check out the Opinion Guy
Gavin,
website for
again,
coverage.
going back on cell phones and mobile networks and all that thing, we have a new brand entering, a new
Oh,
challenger
man.
approaches.
Yeah, when a new cell phone brand launches in South Africa, I'm like, oh my goodness. You do realize you're up against Samsung and Huawei who are like gobbling up the whole market and have got like a stranglehold on the market. You've got to be very ballsy, very brave, come with exceptional deals to get your phone into the market. Because in my opinion, the networks are carrying fewer and fewer phones because it's become, they only need 2 or 3 phones to service that segment and 2 or 3 phones to service that segment there. And, they don't want to carry like 40 phones.
And we're getting fewer and fewer networks now.
Yeah, that too also go, yeah, that's right, whoops. But you've got to be very brave to come to the market and think you're going to find your way. And the key, of course, is to get in with the networks. If MTN and Vodacom and, of course, Cell C won't carry your product, you've got almost no route to market.
Yeah.
So
Vivo, which is part of the BBK group, who also make Oppo. You may have heard of Oppo if you
Yes.
watched the Cricket World Cup.
Yes.
They were big sponsors, title sponsors.
Oppo, Vivo, and there's 1 or 2 others.
And OnePlus is
Right,
another of
OnePlus
theirs.
is a premium brand, yeah.
Yeah, another of theirs. So I see.
All Chinese.
Yeah, so Vivo comes in. They have full Google integration, and they are coming in at the low end of the market. With the Y11 is their current best phone. Snapdragon 4. It's like mid-range to lower end
It's like
sort
a
of
6
spec.
plus
It's
inch screen.
value for money is really good. It's 2,700 rand, selling through Vodacom for December exclusively, and then opening up to the other network channels in 2020. And then the Y91C, which was the Y91i in India, and then they made a spec for other emerging markets. Sorry. And that's coming in at the 1,900 rand cash. South Africa is also the first postpaid market that they've entered, so you can get these phones on contract. So launching as postpaid on the lower end, that was my foot, Gavin. Gavin's getting a bit touchy here.
So the difference between Vivo and other brands like them that have entered the market is that internationally Vivo is actually quite a big recognized brand. They're up against, in South Africa, they're up against brands like Techno that you may barely have heard from, or up against brands like Ligu, who you definitely haven't heard from, and so on.
And Mara.
And Mara is another brand who, is trying to pull its act together in Africa, and they made a splash when they launched.
But
and we've heard
importantly,
nothing since.
Vivo are like the official partner of the FIFA World Cup, for instance,
they've got
2018
that
and
kind of
2022.
clout. So Vivo is part of a group with Oppo and OnePlus that
Yes.
we've mentioned, and 1 or 2 other brands, and between them they are the second biggest phone maker in China, which is a monstrous thing to have
Yes.
achieved. Okay, so Huawei is ahead of them, but collectively those 3 brands represent the second biggest, and that means they've got massive international credibility. Now, I remember distinctly in the mid-90s when Hyundai came to South Africa, and everyone just laughed at them. Look at Hyundai today.
Yes.
And I remember when Kia came to South Africa, and everyone laughed at them, like, who the hell are they? And look at them today. So let's not underestimate the impact Vivo could have on our market.
I like these products because it offers really good value for money. Their premium offerings, which will be hitting markets from like May 2020, are focused on 5G first, which is bizarre, but
Yeah, I don't know
that's
about
just
that
the way
as a
their
strategy.
product line has shaken out. They have full access to Google services, so there's no complaints there. I really pick them as being the biggest competitor to Huawei that Huawei has ever seen in this market.
Okay, so they've come to market with two models. The Y11 is 2,700 rand. The Y91C is 1,900 rand. My concern is that they both have the letter Y in their name, and Y is what Huawei has used for its mid-range products. So very irritatingly, we now have mid-range products from true Chinese manufacturers, both with the letter Y. Very silly, but okay, there it is.
My mention of the Google services comes to your other point here, Gavin. You have a note here that says 80% of app downloads are from 1% of developers.
Yeah.
Please explain.
Okay, this is an old note, and unfortunately, I've actually forgotten about this note. I've just left it in. Someone, one of the most credible research agencies, whose name now escapes me.
Partner.
I don't know if it was Gartner.
I forget.
It may have been Gartner. Yeah. Well, that's the point. 80% of app downloads are produced by 1% of the developers. That
Yes.
means that everyone's downloading WeChat, everyone's downloading Instagram, everyone's, but
like
very,
Gmail and
yeah,
Microsoft Word and all those
and
things.
and then on top of that, that's 92% of all the revenue. So in other words, 1% of everybody who's making apps is scooping up 92% of
Yeah.
all the money. So that means there's gazillions and gazillions and gazillions of little apps out there by independents who are making no money or getting ignored in the market. And it's a clear case of where having more apps is not necessarily better. You
Yeah.
know, and that's the thing. I mean, the Google Play Store always had more apps than the Apple Store,
Yeah.
but it didn't matter because the breadth was not as important as having a core set of very good, very popular apps. So
And that's why for me it's still very difficult for for a leading brand to come in with its own
Yeah.
operating system and try and force people away from what they know and love.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen. You don't
yeah,
move.
but I mean,
elephants.
Microsoft tried that. So
Yeah.
for my money, Microsoft bought up Nokia back in the day and became Microsoft phones. And I thought they were fantastic products.
Yes.
They could not get anywhere because they did not appear to have the apps people wanted in their app store. That wasn't my problem. I found everything I needed in the Microsoft App Store, and I loved their operating system, and I loved their phones, and they wrote off I don't know how many billion
Yeah.
dollars in acquiring Nokia.
They
had to
didn't
write
have a
it off
YouTube app, man.
three
They
days
didn't
later.
have a YouTube app.
Well,
And
I
the
don't
Instagram
understand.
was left to wither and die.
Uh,
But then,
okay.
just we segue neatly
Uh-huh.
from trying to move consumers over to new operating systems to when you are moving from one phone to another, Gavin, you are still getting a lot of people who lose contacts. Well, for me, new number who does that should not happen. We are all
Yeah.
signed into these cloud accounts, Google, iCloud,
Absolutely.
whatever.
So, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, Lindsay. Okay, when you're starting up your Android phone,
Yes.
nothing will work unless you give it a Gmail account,
Yes.
right? Okay, so you give me...
Well, you can skip through
Yeah,
those
okay,
things.
but I mean, by and large, everyone has to put in a Gmail account. Okay, so does that not automatically mean that Google Contacts ends up running in the background somehow, or does the local app have to sync with them?
sometimes you need to actually set that up. So inside your contacts app, when there is a settings thing, and you can,
You're in the phone settings, that's why it's not working.
yeah,
Okay,
sorry,
so the bottom line is, this is how I believe it's supposed to work. Okay, Google Contacts works just like Google Chrome on your phone or Google Maps or any one of the other Google services. It just works in the background, right? So if you have an Android phone, whatever contacts app you're using that came with the phone is almost certainly syncing up with Google Contacts in the background, which means that your Google Contacts are actually already being held in the cloud. If you are confused with how to access them, usually the quickest way is you load up Gmail in your web browser and you just click on the contacts button, and all your contacts should appear there, you know. So all your contacts on your phone are probably already in the cloud under Google Contacts, having been synced up automatically from your phone.
for the life of me, I cannot
Find
find
the
the,
contacts app.
setting now that
Tells it
allows
to
you.
sync.
Yeah, but I know there's.
I never turn it on. I assume it's running automatically. Okay.
They are. You can. I think you set it through your Google profile.
Okay.
But there are ways that if I try and input a new contact right
It
now,
asks, do you want to go
on
to...
the top, right at the top of the page, and this is standard across Android, there is a little drop-down menu that you can then choose which
Where you
Google
want to
account
file
you
it.
want
Yeah.
to file to. And you can do it directly to the phone, to the Samsung account, or Google. I always make sure that I am saving it to
to the
Google.
right Google. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Lindsay's point is that in the past, all your contacts used to be stored on the phone. And then on top of that, some of the contacts used to be stored on the SIM card itself.
Yeah.
So that when you took the SIM card out of this phone and put it in another phone, the contacts would reappear because they were stored on the SIM card. The problem is that contact information has become so much more sophisticated. Now we have phone numbers, email addresses for the premises, and contact notes and all sorts of things are all stored as part of the contact. So it's become impossible to store those on the SIM card. But you could still store them on the phone. The problem with storing them on the phone is that if you lose the phone, the contacts are gone with them. The idea is you can choose to store your contacts on the SIM, on the phone, or in Google. And we recommend you put all your contacts into Google so that however many times you change phones, those contacts just come down automatically as part of your Google services. All your contacts will be restored to your phone automatically.
Yes.
There is another scenario where you could choose a core group of contacts, perhaps 10 critical people who are critically important for you to have constant access to, and you could try and copy those onto the SIM card as well. So that in a crisis situation, you could take your SIM card out of your phone, stick it into any other phone, and have access to those 10 people immediately.
I also like to do the age-old thing of remembering important numbers.
No. No. What a silly idea.
I'm very old school like
What a
that.
silly idea.
But I know my wife's phone number off by
I
heart.
only know my wife's phone number.
I know
That's the
my
only number I know.
sister's phone numbers off
I
by
do
heart.
not know another single number. Not my parents, not my children. That's very dangerous. Ways in which technology has made us dumb.
Yes.
You know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, but I think it's always good practice to have a couple of numbers
So-
and to keep these things. in
No,
your mind.
absolutely. It's very good for your mental state. Anyway, so in brief, if you're worried about losing your contacts when you're switching from one phone to another, make sure that on your old phone, when you go into your contacts tab, make sure it's showing that it's syncing up to Google Contacts. You could choose to copy a small handful of those contacts onto your SIM card as a crisis measure, but that's just by the way. Make sure it's syncing up to Google Contacts, and that way, every time you restart a new Android phone and you put in your Gmail account, your email address effectively, all those contacts will automatically come back down to the phone. Okay.
Oh, good, man. That's some great service journalism right there. I think, Gavin, game controllers, man.
Now, game controllers are not just game controllers. I mean, I think what's happened is there are a lot of games you can play on your PC that actually work better with a sort of an Xbox or PlayStation style controller. So, you know, these PUBG games and Fortnite, and everybody wants to now play those games on their PC, but with the convenience of the kind of controls you would use on your console. For example, I've noticed that games like FIFA, for example, are really hard to play with a mouse and keyboard. You might want to play on your PC, but you need a console-style controller to play. So, there are a couple of game controllers you can get. The best ones, in my opinion, not only work wirelessly with the PC, but they also work wirelessly with the phone. Some of them are so clever, they've got a little bracket on them where you can actually clip the phone into the controller and, you know, use it as a mobile gaming device, as it were. So, I don't know, Lindsey, are you looking up what
Gavin,
you've got on
I have a
Takealot?
problem. So Apple with iPadOS, or at least with Apple Arcade, you can now link an Xbox or PlayStation 4 controller to your iPad or Apple TV, and you can play that way. But I have a Nintendo Switch, Gavin. And
that's
Nintendo
right. I
Switch
forget that you have a Switch.
refuses to offer me a broad. It doesn't work with like the other wireless controllers. Like there are specific ones.
Yeah,
So
when I'm
when I'm shopping there, I'm always shopping Switch compatible. And right now, the best deal is the Pro controller, the Nintendo Switch wireless controller, for like 1,065 rand
Okay, so what will this work with? Only with your Switch?
with the Nintendo Switch.
Okay, well that's no good. No, that's unfortunate. I mean, are there scenarios in which you would want 3 controllers with your Switch? Because it comes with 2. So
Well, the Joy-Cons,
Yes.
but the Joy-Cons aren't great for like playing massive immersive games, and then you get the little grip that you can switch,
that's right,
slide
put them
it.
into. Yeah.
I don't like the way those work. Also,
Okay. So you'd be happy with a third-party controller?
yes,
that
I
feels
will
like
be.
an
I will
Xbox
be.
or
I will be
something.
very happy with that. And I prefer DualShock controllers anyway. I'm of the PlayStation generation.
variety. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's one of my favorite products of the year for this year. It's made by SparkFox. SparkFox make a gaming accessories, a whole wide range of gaming accessories. They specialize in controllers. The SparkFox Atlas wireless Bluetooth controller works with PC and with Android phones. That's, in my opinion, what you want.
Yeah.
So you can just connect over Bluetooth, or it has its own little dongle which you can use as well. Dongle you can plug into the PC and so on. It's got really nice grip, and it's laid out like an Xbox control. So if you're familiar with the Xbox system, this is the control you want. That's the SparkFox Atlas wireless Bluetooth controller. Works on Bluetooth or on wireless, which is even faster. But it works most importantly with your PC and with your phone.
Yeah, for those of us on the Switch side of life, I've actually found another one. It's the replacement Pro controller compatible with Nintendo Switch.
This is the name of the product.
Not a word of a lie. It's 655 Rand right now, down from 1,000 Rand, 34% off on takealot.com.
I did forget to give you my price. So the SparkFox Atlas wireless Bluetooth controller is 685 Rand. I think, if you want to play games that are best with console controls, like FIFA, for example, FIFA soccer game, or for that matter, PUBG and Fortnite work really well with console level controls. Then this is the one you want. SparkFox Atlas wireless Bluetooth controller for PC and Android phones.
There's also
685.
There's also now the LG G8X ThinQ launch.
Oh yes.
That in South Africa is being bundled with the dual screen attachment.
Oh, we discussed this before.
And in the dual screen attachment, there is an option on certain games to have the second screen running as a complete game controller, so gamepad. That's a great little. I mean, that's a good device. And
so the hinge mechanism comes with.
Yeah, in South Africa it's being bundled alongside.
Let's face it, we really want one of those.
Yes, we really do want one of those. I'm surprised that there's been very limited review devices going out to the market. I'll probably get mine early 2020 or early January.
So we are just kind of, we're not supposed to express bias towards one brand or another. And when Lindsey's not talking about the freaking S10,
I haven't mentioned
not
that
once today.
Actually,
we're talking about LG as one of our preferred brands. LG's premium phone is just about to come out. The LG ThinQ GX.
The G8X.
G8X, my mistake. And that comes with a sort of a hinging mechanism where there's a standalone phone, but it comes with a second screen which matches up with it in a hinged format. So you can use that as a flip open gaming system or just as a double screen phone.
Yeah. I will link to pricing and availability down in the description. That's about it for this week.
Today. Good luck with the load shedding. The power hasn't gone off once here where we are, but we don't.
Maybe it was suspended. Maybe Cyril came back and just fixed it with his magic.
Yeah, he just waved some Ramaphoria all over it. Look, I mean, we're trying to sound upbeat about it, but we understand all your frustration. We're just as frustrated as you are trying to get things done.
I've been busy on a project and it's just been stop-start. Like I had to work out of a coffee shop the other day.
Okay, but we have to bear up and know that it's not going to go on indefinitely. I mean, with a bit of chutzpah, we won't descend into Banana Republic status. We have to keep chin up, or else we will end up in Banana Republic. So let's not go there.
Yeah.
All right,
Cool.
Keep head up. Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.